Hell yeah. All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whatever else might be lurking in the darkness. Like that wonderful, beautiful picture of Mr. Goose's dad, sir, who was cool enough to join us in the chat last week, I might add. Like, that was groovy. I've never had a person in the cast's father in a chat while we were doing a live stream, so that was touching stuff between the two of you, too. Like, we're talking old school Disney. Hey, Chad!
What's
But
up, Dad?
I am, of course, Bucky Wise, and joining me this wonderful evening, we have, introduce yourself, Goosey Poo.
I'm not muted this time. Hello, everybody. I'm your. I would call myself your eye candy. No, you're fine. I would call myself your eye candy, but Joe is here, and so I'm not that. I'm just your.
Holy shit! She's real.
With token Texan. She's real. Actually, I paid her.
She's fucking real, man.
I paid her. I paid her this time. She's hiding in the background.
Dakota to make a quick appearance?
No, that's not. Dakota's not real. I paid this woman to just come to my house. Do you see all these action figures behind me? You think, bro? No. This cost me $60. So I hope you enjoy the show, guys.
Yeah, that's what I hate about that website Fiverr. They say it's for $5. When you get in there, like, everybody wants more than $5, and it's like, how the hell am I supposed to hire an actress up to play my wife this episode of a live stream? If it's not $5, you guys, that's false advertisement. It's like going to the dollar store and finding out everything's not $1. It's like, why call it that? You guys are just trash. But Joe, how you doing tonight, man? How's the hockey games going, man? Are you guys?
Fuck! I stopped watching. They were losing 4-1 before, so I'm not even following it on the. I don't even have it up. So they're down 2-0 in the series. Looks like they'll be down 3-0 after tonight. So I think it's pretty much over after that.
It's best out of 4, right?
Best out of 7.
Best out of 7. Okay.
Yeah. So first one to win 4 games.
Oh, that's cool. They still got a chance then. I mean, they could still tie it up and make it 3-3. You know, like I guess that happens, right?
It's very rare, but yeah, mathematically, it's astronomical odds are for them to come back.
Okay. Well, let's hope for the Habbies, man. The Habbies got to make it.
Yeah. But this is going to be episode 7 now is a landmark episode because it's a cameo appearance of Dakota. So this episode's going to go down in the history of the Pink Buzz because of the cameo.
This is a key episode.
Yeah, it is. It's a key episode.
My dad, my mom made their cameo appearance in last week's episode, and so Dakota made her cameo appearance in this one.
Does that count?
But they're not first appearances. They're not. They're not first appearances.
Cameo if you don't see them. If you just because we just kind of saw them. Oh, like we didn't see them. They chatted. How does that work?
Yeah. Well, you've seen my dad's picture and he's been there, but you don't know. It could have been just 2 more people that I paid because if you think that my parents are still involved with me after, dude, I'm 27 years old. My dad saw this when he came over and my dad just went, and walked off. I ain't seen him since. I was 7. It's crazy. It's been 20 years. Dad, where are you? Did you find those cigarettes? I hope so.
Still looking for his brand, dude. They're really hard to find. Only certain stores carry them out west. You know what I mean? But
well, your dad's in the chats again tonight, man.
Oh no, that's.
Oh no, it's Chris is your dad. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, right? No. I know Mel is your mom. That I won't mistake now. All right. So anyway, I'm Joe.
I did send him a link.
I'm here every episode. And I'm ready to get to it.
You really are Joey Reliable. That should be your name. Like if you were in the mob, that would be your name, Joey Reliable. But we got some really killer books lined up for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about Yakuza Demon Slayers from IDW. We got Red Mother, written by my homie Jeremy Hahn from Boom Studios. And also we have probably the best book written by my favorite new horror writer. We got Mountainhead by John Lees, also from IDW. coming up at the top of the show. And we're really excited to get into these books. But before we do that, we got ourselves a little check-in to do. And Joe, what'd you check out this week, brother?
All right, this week I got quite a few books read, so I'll get right to it. Did the final issue of Stray Dogs, which was really good. This series was amazing. I mean, it's really good. They did a great job from start to finish, and some pretty gut-wrenching parts. If you're a pet lover, man, it's gonna hit you give you a gut punch for sure. After that, I read Motherfuckers, first issue. Just came out, I think last week. Read that. Never read it before, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty wacky. I think it's a double issue, the first one, so you get quite a bit of story in one issue there. Then I hit up Vinyl, the new jam from Wagner and Hilliard, who did Plastic, and did they also do Yumi together, or what was the other one? Anyway, that's their new book.
How is it? You want to get it? Do you mind getting into that a little bit?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it should have been a double issue, the first issue, because it was just starting to get to the meat, you know? And it's like, oh, wait till next issue. They leave you on the kind of a bit of a cliffhanger kind of deal. So I found that kind of a bit of a letdown that way, because I wanted more, like, right off. And I think, like, if it was a 48-page book, it would have been perfect. They could have really gotten into it. And it's got that typical wacky character kind of, like in Plastic there, that the main character is, right now I'm not sure. He seems like an adorable kind of guy, but in a twisted way. And we'll see what the second issue brings. But I really enjoyed it. Like, if you enjoyed Plastic, you'll probably be into this for sure.
So it doesn't like directly tie to Plastic. It's just kind of tangentially attached to it, kind of like how a trilogy sequel, like
but
CSR and Road of Bones are. You know, they're akin to each other, but not sequels.
I could totally see how this book and the Plastic one are probably in the same universe easily.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right
because in Plastic, doesn't he impersonate an FBI agent? Like, he takes the name of some agent or something. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and anyway, they deal with the FBI in this, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a little...
Hey, Joe, guess what?
Shout outs and shit. What?
Myth busted. Myth busted.
There we go. Hey, Mel, what's up?
Mom? Mom?
It's always wonderful to see you, Mel.
Yeah. Then the next one I have, Batman Reptilian. Now, I've been seeing some people give this book a rough time when they were talking about it, saying Batman's too brutal, anyway. But I read it, and I didn't think Batman was all that brutal at all. Not more than... They're comparing it to Frank Miller, stuff like that. And I read it, and he cripples one guy who's a serial rapist and abuser to make sure he doesn't abuse people again. And there's one other scene where he holds a guy over the edge of a building to make him spill the beans on, to get info for something. And that's pretty much as brutal as it gets. And you don't see any of the scenes. That's Garth Ennis, and it's Liam Sharp who's doing the art. Yeah.
Of course, Batman's going to be overbearing and a Nazi. Dude, Garth hates Batman. Of course, he's not going to write the character all chipper and loving like he does.
But he's
James
like
Tynion.
He's a version that's very, how would you say it, cynical. Like, he's old, and he's just like, the way I look at it is he created the Batman that wants to make these criminals live in the same personal hell that they inflicted on all their victims. Because all their victims are scarred emotionally and psychologically, and from that point on live in some personal hell of fear, anxiety, and Batman, the way I see he interprets Batman is he wants to make all those criminals live in that same personal hell that they made their victims live in for the rest of their lives, because they're going to have those psychological scars till the day they die. And this is what Batman tries to inflict on all those criminals in this book. And that's what I get from it. I didn't find it, I was expecting to be like, holy shit, when after hearing these people talk about this book, and I was kind of let down. I was like, man, it wasn't even half as brutal as I thought it was going to be.
Nice.
I'd like to make a note, Johnny, because you brought it up about Garth Ennis. I just remember when they announced this book, and I was reading one of the interviews, and it says the interviewer asked him, "This is a Batman that is especially single-minded in getting the job done while not compromising his own code of honor. How is it getting to explore that here?" And Ennis replies, "What we're talking about here is a billionaire aristocrat who beats up poor people as well as the mentally ill. I don't know what that has to do with a code of honor, but it certainly appeals to my sense of humor, which was probably my way into writing the character and the reason I enjoyed writing him more than I otherwise might have." And so like that answers your question. So like I wanted brutality. I haven't got to read it yet. I have it coming in, but I'm glad you liked it, Joe, because that means I'll probably definitely like it because you got good taste, especially
before Garth broke in over here with Preacher and Hellblazer, he wrote Judge Dredd for years.
Yeah.
So he's having fun. He's basically making Batman Judge Dredd, and I'll read that. I'll definitely read that when the trade comes out for it.
And for a first issue, like an intro to the series, it's pretty solid, man. I can't complain about it. Like, I don't know why it's getting so much hate, but anyway, I guess, you know.
These people are like school on Saturday, Joe. No class.
School in the summertime.
But anyway, like, I mean, each their own, but I think they're painting it with a very unfair brush of, like, if you think it's too brutal or you think it's not that bad. It might be in later issues, but right now it's pretty tame. I've seen Batman like this a million times, so it's nothing really all that off in left field or anything. It's pretty on point, especially for, like, let's say an older Batman that's been around the block and is sick of all the shit. And finally, the last book I read is Barbaric. Man,
that's one with the talking axe, right?
Fucking right it is. I love this book, man. This is the fucking shit I've been waiting for. Fuck, this is what I was hoping Sam and his talking gun was gonna be, is this fucking book right here. Man, the axe, he's just he just hung, like, the violence, like the blood. You see, he just gets off on it. He wants more. He just relishes the violence and the killing, and he gets drunk off the blood, and it's funny. It's like it's not laugh out loud, but man, I smirked the whole time I was reading this fucking book. It was pretty good. The characters are awesome, and the story, I think it's gonna be they make it out like an axe that talks and blah, 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 but I think the story's going to be pretty fucking good. It's going to get pretty deep, I think.
Yeah, that's what everybody told me when it was first getting announced, that it was actually going to be like a really brutal comic. Like it'll have the comic angle with the talking axe, but aside from that, it's going to be pretty decent dark fantasy from what I was told.
Yeah, and it's already, even in the first issue, they cover a lot of fucking ground, man. They cover a lot in that first issue. They cover a little bit of his backstory of how he gets to where he is. They didn't really touch on how the axe ends up talking or anything yet, and they introduce his how do you say it? His, not a sidekick, but a co-protagonist in it as well, who is a witch. She's pretty fucking cool too. So they cover a lot of ground in it, and set you up for the second issue, knowing exactly kind of what this book is about, where it's probably going. It was really fun. It was a fun book to read. Good. And the art is good in it too, man. Nathan Gooden.
Oh, man, yeah, Nathan Gooden.
Yeah, he's the one who draws it. I think he's one of the head guys at Volt anyway. And some of the panels, man, it just gave me Bart Sears vibes, man. Sometimes some of his art, the inks and the lines and the way he draws, man, it just made me think of Bart Sears, who I loved back in the 90s. So, man, I was digging this comic big time.
He did the art for Zojaquan, which is still my favorite Vault book. I absolutely adore that comic.
Yeah, so that's my. Oh, actually, I have one other one. Shit.
Oh, right
Wait,
on.
Just a sec. Give me one quick sec.
Okay. It's no problem.
Oh, it's not there.
We get to see that ass. We're lucky.
Shit.
That ass. That's
Good
so
one.
Here it
sad.
is. I did have it. I did have it.
That's
There, this
Canadian's ass, man.
Yeah, you saw my crack,
Oh.
my plumber's crack.
Yeah, man, we saw your crackle. Oh, man,
that.
cool.
Cain and Abel came in this week. I started reading that. I got just a little ways into it, and it's pretty cool.
Shaky
I love
Cane's
that.
awesome. It's good to see his work.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to say that that's another key. It's another reason it's a key episode is because we got a cameo appearance of Joe's ass.
Yeah,
Yes,
well, you've had me in a Speedo. Now you've gotten the crack. So I guess every five episodes, I'm going to reveal a little more each time. but
Wait
man,
until the
look,
special 10th episode anniversary.
full frontal. Look at the size of this thing, man. Like it's so much bigger than a regular
it's
comic.
magazine sized.
Yeah, it's
That's
magazine
cool.
size.
How
man.
much was
yeah,
it?
So the art.
How much was it?
Probably $9.
$12.99.
$12.99. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
How
72
many?
pages.
I mean,
though.
is it?
72.
Okay.
72
That's
pages.
and it's magazine sized.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's got
Image
a
likes-
cardstock cover. So I mean, it's a solid book, man. So far, I've only read a
Worth
little
it.
bit, and yeah, it was pretty cool so far.
I mean, was it
can't
worth the
say
13?
much more? Yeah, quality wise,
dude.
the book. Yeah.
It's a Shaky Cane comic, dude. You don't even got to axe that, dude. Like, that dude is lit.
Yeah. And it has already in it. There's like, I love it when they do these fake ad pages, like in the old school comics. You know, where you could order like the sea monkeys and shit. They actually do one like that.
Oh, yeah,
Or
he
like-
loves that old throwback to Silver
Yeah.
Age
See,
shit.
like
Yeah.
you can order a life size Sid Vicious doll. You know, you got Kiss. You've got Phil Spector. You can control Phil Spector's ghost. There's all kinds of crazy shit in it. Like, this is almost more fun to read than it's called Randy's Randy's Rock and Roll Basement. That's what the store is called. It's pretty fucking cool. You got Lou Reed's fart powder. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in it, man. Like,
Fart powder.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
That
So
would
far,
be
that's
such
been
a
the
perfect
highlight.
day.
It probably would get you high, to tell you the truth. I mean, fucking heroin.
So
that
yeah,
guy
so that page was definitely left a good first impression on that book for me. So
Well, was that all that you read for this week, Joe?
pretty much, yeah. On top of
Well,
I had
I'm
to read
glad-
two of the books for this week as well.
Well, I'm glad that you ended it with that, with how much you liked that page on Cain and Abel, because that was one of the things I was going to talk about in one of my books that I read this week. So I guess I'll start up. I backed Dwellings #2 on Kickstarter. If y'all haven't backed Dwellings yet, it's one that I highly recommend. They do it in like the Charleston style comics, almost like the old Casper and Wendy, and they do horror stories. And I mean, just from the front cover, you can kind of see the art style. The Black Eye Books is the production company, and they the price, as you can see, is $666, which is great. And if you'll look on the back, they have
The old
they
school.
have and on the front page, that was what was it? What's Randy's Rockin' Basement? This is the Memento Mori Funhouse, which has stuff like the Tibetan Book of the Dead for $1, 100% genuine giant monster, existentialism for $198. All kinds of really fun stuff, and the book itself is really great. Like I said, it's very, very much done in the old Charleston style comics, and they have the ads all throughout, like the old comics, and it's set up. It's really fun.
Yeah,
I usually
I
get
love
the
it
one
when
with
they do that.
I got the one. I backed the first and I backed the second one, and I backed both of them with the postcard set and with the lithograph. And with the postcard set, I don't know. I have some of them hanging up here behind me, but he basically does the Charleston style art with famous movies. Like the ones that are up here are like Black Phillip from The Witch, kids from what's the one with the creepy twins? Not the twins, but the Village of the Damned. It's got a Village of the Damned one. Sadako from The Ring, all kinds of shit like that. It's super great. The stories in both of them have been awesome. They found a way to connect them at the end of this one, which I thought was really good. I'm really hoping for more. I got the Jay Stevens DJX book as well, which I have back here somewhere behind me, but it's just got a bunch of his shorts and kind of like newspaper style strips, and he's got a really fun kind of demented sense of humor, and I can always get down with that. And so I think you can buy the second print of both issue 1 and issue 2 from Black Eye Books Productions. I think they're still up, but other than that, I read some other pretty great stuff this week. I'm a huge fan of Ryland Grant. I think both of y'all know that. And I picked what? Ryland Grant? My favorite. No, you don't. No, don't. No, I'm kidding. No, I picked up and reread Aberrant because it was the first book on my bookshelf, and I hadn't read it in a while, and it still holds up, and it's still awesome. And I don't have the second volume, and I need to fix that ASAP because I still haven't read it. And the first one ends on a cliffhanger, and just all of it. Like if you love action and humor and pop culture references, Ryland Grant's the guy to go to. He always has super stunning art. He's got a new book out with Source Point called Suicide Jockeys, and I think it's too late to pre-order the first issue, but you should definitely, if you have a chance, try and track that one down because it's gearing up to be a kick-ass book, as all of his books are.
Doesn't he got a Kickstarter going right now too? He always got a Kickstarter.
I think he usually does. I think it just ended because I backed. I think it was the Jump issue 2, which the Jump was really good. I just got his Peacekeepers. I actually have one of the art pieces from it right here, and that was a real fun 2-issue bank heist Kickstarter that I backed that I'm ready to see some more of. The other book I read is Goodnight Paradise from Joshua Dessart, Alberto Ponticelli, and yeah, dude, oh man,
that book's fucking hardcore right there, man. That's good stuff.
It is. And I hate when people use this term, but I feel like if you use it appropriately, it's right. But it is such a fucking punk book, bro. Like just the streets of LA and the way that it's done. It's a gritty book. It's grimy. Like you feel dirty when you're looking through Eddie's perspective. Eddie being the main protagonist. He's a homeless man out in Venice Beach. He witnesses the murder of a runaway, and it leads him into a larger conspiracy. If you haven't picked this up, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong. This is from TKO's Wave 1, wasn't it? Their first set that they put out.
Yeah, it's one of the first 4.
Yeah, and I'm not just blowing smoke up people's ass when I say that TKO has not disappointed me yet. Everything that I've read from them has been fantastic. They've been putting great crews together. And Goodnight Paradise, a lot of people I think said that Sentient was the best out of that first group of 4, but really, or was it Sentient came out in Wave 2? Sarah. Yeah, Sarah was Wave 1.
Yeah, Wave 1.
I think the
first one was Sarah. Goodbye Paradise, Dr.
The
Fang.
Banks.
No, the Banks is in the second one.
Shit.
7 Dead. Yeah, it was 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
Dr. Fang, Sarah, and Goodbye Paradise. And then,
okay, I ended up getting those 4 before Sentient came out, but I think it was like the hype from Sentient that pushed me towards TKO when I bought their first wave. And out of all the books, which all are stupid good, like just looking up at them now, but Goodnight Paradise always stuck out to me, and this is my second time reading it, and the relationship that he has with his son that he's trying to get through in the whole thing is a lot different now that I have a kid on my read through, so it hits on a different personal level, and it's such a great book. So if you get the chance, pick up Goodnight Paradise. It should be available at your local comic shop. If they're cool, they should be cool because they're a comic shop anyway. And the last book that I read was a hardcover that I picked up from Peter. I had never really checked into it before I read it, and I read it last year and I read it again this week. But it is the Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo Batman hardcover, which contains Broken City, Night of Vengeance, Wednesday Comic, and Gotham Knights. Broken City is, I think, the only full like cohesive story. It's 5 issues, and the rest of them are shorts or one shots.
Broken
But
City is my favorite Batman comic ever, man. I love that story arc.
It's everything I love about Batman, and I think that those two have that noir, that style down pat. Because that was they did 100 Bullets, didn't they?
Yeah, they basically put out
yeah.
Broken City in the middle of their 100 Bullets run. So like they just kind of,
and
that was the whole thing about it. They were going to come in and do kind of a 100 Bullets Batman comic.
And I feel like they nailed it, because the action is there. It is like you said, if it's one of your favorite Batman stories, and I know that I picked a great one, because I had never heard of it before. I read it last year. Reading it again. I keep saying rereading. Reading it again definitely cements it as one of my top Batman stories. The art, the story, everything about it, plus the little one shots that they did were super fantastic. But I've had kind of a busy week, and so I didn't read as much as I normally do, but those were definitely the highlights of what I read this week, along with what we had to read for the show, which was super kick-ass shit. What have you been reading, Johnny?
I also had fun with Night of Vengeance. I don't know if you read that one. That's the Flashpoint thing they did with a Thomas Wayne Batman and the mom being the Joker.
No,
that shit was gangster, man.
Here.
I actually really enjoyed that 3-shot.
That's in here as well. It's a solid hard. I got it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up, man.
I was just gonna say it's since you were saying that, it's a solid hardcover. It's supposed to be $40. I think I got it for Peter for like 25 or some shit, but it's about 240 pages, worth every cent, man. Super solid. And even the cover of it, I think even the once you take the slip cover off, it's got a beautiful like hardcover as well. Just the Rizzo Batman on both sides.
All you gotta say is Eduardo Rizzo art, man. Like, that dude is probably my favorite artist working. I absolutely fucking love his work.
Look at that cover. How could I say no to that? I had no idea. Like, I saw the cover and I went, Pete, what is that? And he goes, it's the Azzarello and Rizzo hardcover. And I said, how much is it? And he goes, for you, 25. And I went, okay, just slip it in with my order. And it worked out well. I love it.
I got a couple of my Kickstarters in. That's about all I really got this week. I got one called 6-8, written by Michael T. Gonzalez with art by Alan Burns. It's a little horror thing about kids that can conjure. It's hard to understand. So with the first issue, but I really like the art. Alex Byron's art is a lot like Lucy Sullivan's. It's really moody, very blurry-ish, but like, I don't know, it's just lovely horrific art. So I'm definitely going to keep checking out the issues for this while it comes out, because it's a cheap enough Kickstarter. I got Ragdoll issue 2. This is a black and white bad girl superhero comic. This kid named Max Hauser does while he's at college to make some extra college money, and I like him. I like his work, and the art, it really throws me back to the 90s. It kind of looks like something that you'd see from Chaos or one of those companies. So I'm having a little fun with it. It's a nice little black and white thingy. And then I got the first issue of Long Pig. This is done by the writer, creator of one of my other favorite horror Kickstarter books, Dogjaw. This is done by Graham Puttick with art by Adam Jones. And this book is really neat. It's about a family of cannibals and the people that are going to hunt them down and murder them for eating their family members. And I just like it. I like the iconography of the book, and the term long pig used as human meat has always creeped me out. So just using that as the title, I was just like, that's how you hook me in to reading something about a cannibal.
I was on the same page as you. When I hear long pig, like my stomach just kind of churns a little bit, and I'm sad I missed out on that Kickstarter. That sounds kick ass.
Oh yeah. His new one just finished up too for the 5th issue of Dogjaw. That's finally over. I think he might run a campaign for the trade for that. I highly recommend it, man. That's like Fargo meets oh dude, basically like a whatever crazy survival horror thing you can think of. Like it happens and there are zombie bears and all kinds of cool stuff, but the humor is written really good and the art is just beautiful in all of his books. So yeah, I highly recommend all of Graham's Kickstarter books.
Oh, I was going through the previews, and you know what's coming out in September, or is it
What's that?
October? A Army of Darkness book written by Rodney Barnes. Man, he's going to be doing an Army of Darkness book.
Awesome. Like
Yeah, 1979. It's called Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 1979.
oh, so he's gonna make.
Yeah,
is it gonna be a Soul Cinema version of it? Is he gonna have like a protagonist of color? Because that would be so awesome if he just like totally like Black Dynamite's out.
There's a gang. There's a gang in the Bronx that gets a hold of the what's it called, the Book of Death or whatever. And so he's got to go to. Exactly. Yeah, so he's got to go to. So Ash has got to go to New York to fight this gang of fuck. It sounded pretty. It sounded pretty.
Kandarian Homeboys, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kandarian Demon Homeboys.
Yeah. Oh, and
I'm excited about that.
American Mythology or Anthology publisher is coming out with a 4-issue series comic based on Wally's Wonderland, man, coming out in October.
Right on. Probably one of my
man.
favorite movies of the year so far. We're going to do our first movie review episode for that film whenever Matt stops having explosive diarrhea and can be on the show. But like, I don't want to force the guy. He's like, dude, I can't. I'm shitting so bad. And I'm like, but you can just take your computer and the camera. And he's like, no, dude, no. And I'm like, okay. But he'll be back
dude,
and we'll do that movie review.
You know he's from Florida, right? So he probably just got dysentery on the Oregon Trail. He'll be fine. Well, you know, we're talking about the Army of Darkness. I don't know if you guys are fans of the Trailer Park Boys. I don't know if I mentioned it either, but they on Free Comic Book Day they have Trailer Park Boys issue 1 coming out, and I'm not sure who's writing it or anything, but I hope the boys are involved. I'm definitely going to be in a comic shop to pick that up.
Man, I thought you were going to tell me that there was a damn Army of Darkness Trailer Park Boys crossover happening. I was thinking about Bubbles and Julian teaming up with Ash, dude. Ricky be becoming a Kandarian and shit, man. Come on. Mr. Leahy stole the porno tape. I mean,
those two idiots get a hold of the fucking book, and then all hell breaks loose in the trailer park, man. That would be too good. Yeah.
Ricky and Julian, man, they do it.
Smokes, go.
Yeah, that'd be a fucking awesome. You heard it here first, man. We got to get it. Who owns the rights? It's 2 different publishers, though, man. So, because I pre-ordered the issue 1 of the Trailer Park Boys one, and it's it. I can't remember what. I'll have to go back in my old previews and see which company it is, which imprint is putting that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pre-order that so I don't miss out, because I'm not gonna be getting comics for a while with this move and everything. I mean, once I get in the city, like move down there. I mean, there's comic shops everywhere, but I need to get a physical copy of that.
I think it might be coming out either this month or the beginning of next month, because it seems to me it was in the previews a couple months ago, and usually the previews are 2 months in advance.
I'll have to hit up Comics on the Green, who I've been getting my comics from, who can help y'all out with all of your comic needs if you're not near a comic shop. I will, if you need anything, hit it up in the chat, and I'll link you up with that so you can start getting physical books sent to you, and you can be as happy as I am.
Yeah, Goose is happy.
It's not a good. Sometimes, you know.
Get him on his trampoline, he's happy. He gets his man meat flopping. But yeah, getting into the books of tonight. First up, we have Yakuza Demon Killers, written by Amit Chauhan, with art by Eli Powell, colors by K. Michael Russell, letters by Marshall Dillon. No shit, the guy from Gunsmoke did the lettering for this. That's awesome. Series edits by David Hedgecock. And let's see, collection design by Claudia Chong. And with Yakuza Demon Killers, you get the full gamut of just wonderful, over the top horror, and probably my two different favorite styles. It's delivered an Clive Barker-esque horror monster type thing with a total Takashi Miike / Ryuki Kitamura style Japanese flair. And the story for this one, it's about this girl down on her luck. She's kind of a druggie. Her name's Ochata, and she can like pick any lock. And her buddy comes and gets her, and they're like, "We got to break into this place right now because this is going down." So they're in there, and like they're breaking into this vault, and like they're like, "What is this? Is this money or something?" They get there, and it's like this really badass katana that's ancient. So like she cracks the lock and gets in. But when she does, man, this blue glow happens, and like all these crazy Clive Barker things start coming through the walls and start just tearing everybody to pieces. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these Yakuza guys run in and start just killing the demons. This one guy cuts his hand and like bleeds on this mammoth statue, and it becomes huge and just like stomps on him and stuff. But basically, like she pulls out the katana to save her and her friend. But when she does that, it like fuses with her arm, and the Yakuza were after the katana too, so they have to take Ochata with her. And they basically force her to become sober and then to become a Yakuza demon slayer. She has to join the team, or they'll probably just cut her arm off and throw her in the garbage or something. You know what I mean? They'll do what the gangsters do. But she becomes like the most badass. And it's really cool. And then there's a big showdown happens. The really, really heartbreaking twist that I think I really love. And sadly, this is a book that didn't get the sales it really deserved. So we'll probably never see a follow-up to it. But man, does it have a beautiful setup for a fucking badass follow-up. Joey, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, man. Like I had no clue what this book was when you recommended it for the show. So I picked it up, and right off the first 4 or 5 pages, I was sold. Like the dude, it starts with her in the alleyway, her buddy heist, her partner in crime, the heist, the guy who like sets these heists up, picks her up, and she's just fucking out of it high and just puking, and he's like, "Oh, those are in my new shoes and shit." Then the next scene, he's speeding down the highway on a motorbike, and it's just her, like a picture of her with her head turned, hurling, and you just see the bomb, like the line of bomb, and I was like, the way they set it up, the panels and everything, it was just funny. It made me laugh right away, and I was hooked right away. I love the art style, and it's got that
Sean Murphy-esque, right? It reminded me of
like
Sean Murphy.
Dead Orbit or Orbit. What was it called? Death Orbit, right? It had that kind of similar style. I dug it, man. I love that style. Yeah, it was really good. And man, it's a shame it didn't get picked up, because this book just starts to get to the juicy parts, right? Then it ends, and I'm like, oh, we'll never get to the rest of it, because it was just getting really good, getting to the meat on the bone, right? And it's I don't see what I don't understand people. I don't know why this didn't sell more, or it was really good. It was solid. The story was good. The art was good. Like, this was a solid book all around. Like, it deserved a better fate than what it got. That's for sure.
Yeah, IDW gets no respect, no love really in the comic shops for some reason. Like a lot of my favorite books have come from them, and most people don't know them. Stuff like this, like Ghost Tree, some of Josh Dysart's other work that they put out. It seems like most people only really know them for their commercial properties and like Lock and Key, and that's it. Sadly. Goose, man, you want to hop in on?
Well, I do. You mentioned commercial properties. I do have to say though, they did rock the fuck out of that Die Hard Year One that you sent me. That is still one of my. I reread that. I reread. God damn it! I read that book at least 2 or 3 times a year since you. Well, I say that, I've read it like 6 times since you sent it to me. It's been 2 years now, and it's such a kick-ass book. But yeah, I do want to talk about this book. I agree with you that IDW doesn't get the respect it deserves, and we're going to go into another IDW property that I feel deserves more respect here in a minute. But this book had me hooked, like Joe said, 3-4 pages in, I was just geared up for it. And I really, the one thing that I thought, which y'all already mentioned, was the Sean Murphy-esque art. But the other thing was the chalk, the magic chalk that they use, right? Like it just gave me straight up Harold and the magic chalk, the magic purple crown fucking cartoon from back in the day. I like that a whole lot. I like the action a whole lot. The twist ending, bro. Like when he got to the end, I just how old is this book? Or I mean, we're not posting, we're not doing spoilers for it. It's not relatively new, is it?
No, this book I think 2016 was when it came out.
Okay. So what ends up happening in most comics, and I know that like if we would have gotten more from this, we would have probably got what I'm talking about. But in most comics, you know, the good guys win. It always comes out. But the way that this one ends, it's on such a down note because like with all the stuff that happens, and I won't ruin what happens. The bad guys have seemed to have won. They have the good guys on the ropes. Shit has gone downhill, and like it is such a bleak ending. And in that is where I found how much I love it because there's a movie that I really enjoy, the German and the American version. It's Funny Games, because like evil wins in that, and it's not that I'm some sick sadistic piece of shit, but I just know that in the real world sometimes evil wins, and so when you see that in media, whether it be comics or movies, it gives you some sort of appreciation. That it's all fake because you know in real life some of those awful people do end up fucking winning, and so it was just it's a great story. The ending definitely got me. I wanted there to be some sort of hope, and it left me with hope that there was going to be more. And now talking to y'all, because like Joe, I'd never heard of it before today either, or not, but today, but before we had before y'all brought it up, yeah, this week, and man, it was super badass. I'm kind of sad that there's no more of it. God, it's such a great book. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for sure.
Hell yeah. I think because when Matt first joined Twitter, he shouted out because me and him both really loved this book and we'd talked about it since we were buddies on YouTube. And he talked to I think Powell. And Powell's like, yeah, IDW didn't seem interested. If you guys can help get us some more support, maybe a Kickstarter. But this was like a year or two ago, so like who knows how far they've even moved from it from then. You know what I mean? So
now you mentioned something else. The guy from Gunsmoke did the lettering. My dad's not here in the chat. I did send them links, but my dad went at the hospital, or my dad, after I was born, went through the hospital telling everybody that my name was Marshall Dillon Dotson, like after the dude from Gunsmoke. And my mom was telling everybody that I was Christopher Neil Dotson Jr. And so they settled on Christopher Colton Dotson because my mom did not want me being named after Gunsmoke. But I always think about that because I've seen Marshall Dillon's name in a few books before. And just sad that I didn't get to live out the Marshall Dillon life. So kudos to him.
Yeah, he's got a gangster-ass name.
The artist on this, is there any relation to Eric Powell?
Not that I know of.
Myself.
You think that they would work a little bit closer together or shout each other out? You know, I think they would have. I would hope they would. I mean, because most brother teams, they end up either working together or constantly shouting each other out.
What if they're the Nolan Liam Gallagher of comics?
That would be awesome. Let's set up a new Comic-Con and invite them both.
Reconciliation.
Yeah, that's it.
Reconciliation. Let's do it. The Pink Buzz Therapy.
Yeah.
Power Trucker Shower Hour episode.
We'll just let them go at it. Give them both microphones and let them cuss at each other.
Oh, like Jerry Springer style. I could be Jerry.
Like I saw this one video. It was Joey. No, it was Johnny Ramone and Johnny Rotten, and like they were both just cussing at each other about who invented punk rock and who was cooler. And it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, if we could get a comic book version of that, that would be epic.
It would be pretty fucking funny.
But yeah, dude, Yakuza Vampire Hunters, it would make such a killer film. And like I said, man, I would really, really like to see Ryuhei Kitamura direct it because He made the movie Versus. He made Godzilla Final Wars. He did Alive. He did the Lupin the Third movie. He's a really big action director over in Japan, and I think that he would nail this film.
So you brought up Godzilla, and it's good that you did. I started episode 1 earlier. Have either one of y'all checked out the Godzilla anime that they just dropped on Netflix? The something about Symphony. I can't remember what it's actually called.
I haven't seen it, but everybody tells me it's toilet. I like the animation studio that did it, though. They're the same people that did Knights of Sidonia and Blame, which are two of my favorite.
Okay, well, it's got the Knights of Sidonia style, like it's in that style. And so far, episode 1 was a little slow to start, but the monsters at the end were pretty fucking kick ass. And so I'm gonna keep on watching it, and I'll ring back and let you know if it's trash or not.
Yo, CJ, are you talking about Yakuza Apocalypse? Because if you're talking about Yakuza Apocalypse, that is one of my favorite Miike films, man. I absolutely love the giant frog, dude. Like, where do you even come up with that shit, brother? But zipping right along and keeping back into comics, Joey, you want to lead us into Red Mother?
Sure, Red Mother. I thought you were gonna lead into it, so I didn't get the book.
Oh, okay. No, I got it. No problem. Okay. But yeah, Red Mother. This is written by my homie Jeremy Howan with art by Danny Lockhart, who I love him doing these style of books. He also did the art for Regression with Colin Bunn, another one of my favorite of these slow burning horror ones. Okay, here's the credit page. It is lettered by Ed Dukeshire, cover by Jeremy Howan with colors by Nick Filardi, discovered. Okay, there's another version cover. Let's see. Designer. It is designed by Marie Kroprina. Yeah, I suck at saying names. I am dyslexic, all right? I sound shit out. I was hooked on phonics. It worked for me. But this book is just... I don't know if calling it classy horror is the right way to say. It's very artistic horror. It will remind you of like watching a giallo film. Joey earlier... described it being much like Suspiria, and that's quite apt, except for the colors. There's not so much. There are some color changes to it, but it's mostly real tones. But the story for this is about this girl Daisy, who designs these really neat puzzles. But it starts out her and her boyfriend. They just ate some pizza. They're having a good time, and they're talking about going to Europe and having some fun. When they hear this screaming for help. And the boyfriend goes to be hero and helps, and he gets yanked into the darkness, and then a hand reaches out and just basically rips Daisy's eyeball out. Then she's trying to figure out what the hell happened to her boyfriend and what happened to her eye while they put a fake one in, and all this kind of time shifts, and like they've discovered that like he's not coming back and they don't know what happened to him, so they gave him a funeral. And she moves to Europe to work with this really, really crazy like Frank Zappa type designer guy, so kind of artist dude who makes these big surreal art pieces that are interactive, I guess. And he wants her to design the puzzle locks for this ultimate art exhibit that he is doing, and it just all leads to this big mystery of these weird visions that she's having ever since she lost her eye. She sees this big menacing creature chasing her, and people keep coming to her and they talk to her about the mother. It's got this really, really sense of dread to it. The 12 issues are just paced out perfectly. This goddamn thing would make a beautiful film. And the only problem I have is I think the big fight with the Red Mother at the end was a little rushed. I would have liked to seen that stretched out a tiny bit. But other than that, man, this book is just a good, solid, creepy, tension building horror juggernaut. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. Boom has a hit on their hands horror wise with this, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Joey.
Yeah, man, this book was great. And the eye, it's not a fake eye. She gets an implant, right? It's not a fake eye. She gets a replacement, like an implant from someone else. I'm pretty sure.
No. I thought it was. I thought it was a glass eye. No,
It
because
was a
I
glass
can pull it
eye.
up. It's a
Okay.
glass eye because he's painting
it?
it in one of the things. Because he tells her,
Yeah.
it's sensory
Okay.
overload because you've got one
Okay.
eye that's working and one that's not. That's why
Okay.
it explains the color shifts
Yeah.
that she's seeing throughout the book.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember that part. I didn't remember if it was like they tried to do an eye transplant. Anyway.
They gave her a
Yeah.
Terminator eye. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. No, but this book,
Hey,
man, right from the start.
you missed issue.
Anyway, right from the start, this book, it does an amazing job of building the tone. And it keeps this consistent tone all the way to the end of like just the dread. It's always there. Like every corner she turns, you think this is it. Something's going to happen. And it always keeps you on edge. The tension is amazing all throughout. And they never lose it. It's such a fine balance where and it's not a letdown. Like you don't feel like nothing's going on because the story's progressing in an intricate way where you're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like you're seeing or reading the book, and it's almost like you're experiencing it through her because you don't know what's going on. You're trying to figure shit out like she's trying to figure out because Jeremy Hahn only gives you the information, not all the time, but more or less what she knows. Like you get little hints of other things when she's not around, but most of the story is done from her point of view. So you're on edge as much as she is, not knowing what the fuck's going on or who's behind it. And I think they did a great job with that. Like there aren't too many scenes in the book that aren't based from her point of view. There's a few here and there, but mostly it's all from her point of view. So it builds that tension and just holds you there, like right on the edge the whole time you're reading this. And it's wonderful. It's amazing. They do such a great job with it.
Right. And the creature designs are so good too, man. The Herald,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I've seen big, like, blobby, like, kind of stretch monsters before, but I love the face they gave it. And the way she sees it, like, the way it just comes out of the crowd, much better than I see in most films. Like, some of the parts of it kind of reminded me of the movie Drag Me to Hell, which is a film I don't really care too much for. But like I thought this movie did some of the scenes from that a lot better with the being chased and being paranoid. And yeah, dude, this thing it's incredible for a 12-issue thing. I hope the Boom puts out like just a hardcover definitive edition for this because it would be a perfect one to have.
And like you said, the Herald, I love the shadowy aspects of it. Like the face is concrete, but the rest of him it's almost more menacing because it's not tangible, right? Like you could take a sword and try to slash it and you probably won't kill it because it's supernatural, right? It's almost like in between being a monster and a ghost. It plays the line between the two, which it just makes it even more creepy. And and like when you're sleeping, it just shows up out of the shadows. And it is really good. Like you said, the designs for these characters are really well done. And like you said, that art style for it. At first, it took me an issue or two to get used to it, but man, it fit the story so well. It really did.
You like the art in this book, man. I'm not kidding. Get Regression, but with him and Colin Bunn. It was an Image book that he did the art for. A lot like this, really kind of a paranoid, following a guy that's not sure what's going on type thing, but quite different in theme and tone, though. It's definitely as horny as this one is. Like it's another one that's almost on that Maria Levette level, but not quite as I don't know, smutty's the right word, but yeah,
But
that's what I'm going to go
you
with.
thought you're talking about Regression.
Regression. This one definitely played at having those elements, but it didn't follow through with them. There was a lot of sex talk and a lot of them showing sex had happened, but it didn't ever show it like some of the other books
I thought it was.
now.
I thought it was pretty tame when it came to that part.
Well, I'm not a prude. That stuff doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like that they're putting that in comics now. So,
yeah.
Goosey, you want to jump on the red mother?
I'd love to. This is another one that I'm reading again, and I'll tell you the truth. The first time when it popped up on our weekly read, I wasn't super excited because the first time I read it, I rushed through it, and I think that was my biggest issue was I rushed through it, and I don't think I really comprehended the story, and so I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But I went through and I actually like sat down and took time with it today, and I I want the thing that I like the most about it is that it makes me want to read the second volume. It makes me want to read more because after I read it now, like I'm left with so many questions that I wasn't left with the first time. The art really was the thing in the beginning when I read it the first time that I think was what I liked the most. And then that did stick with it through the second read. It's got, like you said, those changes. I really like the color schemes that they went with, especially when we do when we see the color shifts. Now those are mostly done in just one color. However, it really adds to, like y'all said, the suspense of the story as you read it, especially like I said, my problem was I read through it too quickly the first time, thinking of it as kind of less of a slow burn and more of like a real like horror thing where kind of like a page turner where you're wanting to turn to the next one. With this one, you really need to sit back and kind of let the story build. And I think doing that added a whole level of enjoyment to it that I didn't get the first time. I was really impressed with it. In fact, I was talking to Dakota before I started it and was telling her pretty much the same thing. And I was a little disappointed the first time. This was one of the books, actually, speaking of Peter again, Peter sent to me as a gift. He was like, "Yo, I really like this story. You're gonna love it." And he sent it to me, and I read it. And like I said, I burned through it, and I didn't get it. And now reading it again, it's such a good book. Like you said, I get the Suspiria vibes from it. I get the really slow burn horror, and the way that it ended, I think I agree with Johnny where it seemed rushed, and that's what makes me want to jump into the second volume. Which is it out yet? Johnny, have you read any more of Red Mother besides this first volume?
I read all 12 issues, brother. I read the whole run. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
is it? Oh, I didn't know it was done. I didn't know if it was okay. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
completely finished.
I think it just completed a month or two ago. I think.
oh no, it's been
So
longer than that.
Okay. Yeah, it
so
ended earlier
so
this year.
so there's three volumes or just two?
Two.
Just two
Okay,
so far.
so
Volume 3 is coming out because it's each trade's 4 issues.
that's what I was thinking since you said it was 12. So I'll go ahead and get volume two as soon as I can because that God is so good. Especially the when you said you mentioned "Drag Me to Hell," which I enjoyed, but the scene in the crowd where you see the man with the smile for the first time, and it's such it's one of those things like you said I could just picture it on screen, just this slow, almost in slow motion, where the music is building to a crescendo, and once his face finally emerges in that crowd, you just like I feel like it would just send chills down everyone's back because even just in those four panels where you're seeing him come through the crowd like that definitely like gave me a super like uneasy feeling, and that's kind of how I felt throughout the whole book was just a feeling of unease until it got to the end, and I was a little bit relieved that it was over, but upset that I didn't have more to read at the time. So definitely a solid book. I'm glad we picked this for the week, and I was able to sit down and read it again because I definitely enjoyed it more the second time through than the first time, and I think that was mostly from my own fault. But solid book.
Hmm. But I think one of the things that they covered early on that really helps build like that tension is the interaction with one of the first interactions she has like with the old lady, you know, where she has that interaction and all of a sudden she's like, oh shit, there's something weird going on here. Then she notices there's more people watching, yet they're not overly aggressive, right? They're always there watching. So she knows she's always being watched. And it's like, but you don't know who's in on it, right? So the whole time you're like, it builds that paranoia. Like any single person I run into could be part of this fucking hidden cult society thing. And I early on they did a great job with that scene to establish like her paranoia and why she's in this state of constant paranoia, and it was really good. I love that.
The that all builds, and the one that got me, especially in volume one, is when she's leaving Elena Green's office. I'm guessing that's her therapist or her
Therapist,
psychologist.
yeah.
She's leaving her office, and as she's leaving, and the doctor leans out the window or the door, and she's got this almost like this menacing kind of scowl on her face, like she's
Yeah.
involved in the group watching her, and
Watch your
that really
language,
like,
Goose. Mommy's here.
oh yeah. They're here now. They missed out on the Marshall Dillon story earlier. They're here to confirm it now. But no, for sure, like the ever watching eye theme that they kind of have throughout it, especially with old Cyclops running the show. No, super good book. It really had a special way of building the tension just from the jump. As soon as things go to shit, it's almost like they're, with each page that you turn, they're winding a string tighter and tighter and tighter, and you can just hear it like they're plucking it with each page turn, and it's just bling bling bling, getting louder and louder, and
Till the
it
jack
really
pops
is
out.
such a, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it is. And you get a little brush of that at the end of issue 3 when you see her at the end of the book. And like you said, it's at the my mom did one and my dad did one named Marshall Dillon. It's to the end of issue
Verification.
3
Yeah.
where the smiling man is standing there over her bed. And then I have to mention, I mentioned it to y'all before we went live, but my favorite line from the entire book is where she meets this European entrepreneur and rich man. This is the page I'm talking about, where you see the smiling man over her bed. But when she meets Leland Black, he just gets off a plane from Tokyo, and he says, Kyoto. He says, I was in Kyoto this morning, which was 18 hours ago. I can't ever get over how that works. I'll have 3 fingers of Lagavulin 25 and an inordinate amount of black coffee. It's about the balance, isn't it? You go up, you go down, and hopefully you land somewhere in between. And I immediately love that character, and I hope he's got sinister aspirations, because God, he'd be such a great villain. And so I'm ready to read volumes 2 and 3. Such a good book.
You gotta hit the rest, because once she hits, it's Europe, right? She goes to Europe. The story picks up a little bit, but it keeps that same kind of slow burn pace. But man, it gets good.
Yeah, it bulks up the action. A lot more stuff starts happening to her. After did the train scene happen in the first trade? I don't remember. Was that in the first one where? Okay.
No trains. Excuse me.
Okay, so there's a train scene where she thinks that she's finally safe, and she goes to New York, and then. And then she goes to Europe, and then it gets really crazy. It gets kind of really.
It's pretty good.
It picks up a bit for its pacing, but like it never becomes like.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Not like the next book we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really appreciate that. This type of horror is still getting made. You know what I mean? It's not my favorite type. I do like a lot of the more kind of run and gun splatter gore stuff. But when this style is done right, man, can it be effective and get under your skin? And like this book is one of the ones that really do it well.
Hey, and Jeremy Hahn, man, he's a pretty good artist. Those covers are fucking dope.
Well, that's what I was gonna say when you were talking about the Discover Now cover on the title page. I was looking at it myself, and turns out I have the Discover Now edition cover, which is this one. This is done by Jai Lee and June Chung, and pretty rad cover, I have to say. I don't know what the actual cover for the trade looks like, but
It's
like
bright
the shit
red,
out of
and it's like the red mother standing behind her, and she's got like an eyeball necklace. It's pretty cool looking. I think it's the same as issue 4 or issue 5, the cover of.
Well, I can look back and tell you that. Oh no, this doesn't have a covers thing at the end.
Oh, you got ripped off. They gave you the cool cover, but no cover gallery. Oh, boom! They always got to try to rip you off. So
the back of it looks pretty cool.
But boom, like IDW, they got these hidden little gems like this book. Like I don't know if you guys read it, but I think from 2019 there was one called Abbott that was like a really good like fantasy horror thing. And Boom puts out some pretty damn good horror, aside from the Colin Bunn stuff, of course. Everyone knows the Colin Bunn Boom books. But we're getting to the final feature presentation. Goosey. Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time to get loud. It's time to represent. Hey there, Goose. What time is it?
Oh, it's time to get ill. Always. But it is also speaking of Rector, as we mentioned earlier, let's take a trip to Mount Rector. I barely know her. Anyways, let's go to check out
That's
Mountainhead.
a Canadian joke, dude. I expect Joe to say that, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I do that all the time, but not the point. The point that we're here to talk about is Mountainhead, possibly my favorite book of the past 5 years. I give this book so much love, and it absolutely fucking deserves it. The day that I saw, and I can actually show you the picture that drew me to Mountainhead. This right here, the title page that has all of the creators' names drawn into the snow.
Your mom rocks, dude.
I love her. I love her. That and the first page previews, which is this right here. I didn't know what the story was about. I saw that art and I said, I want this. I want this. And I immediately went to my local comic shop and I actually subbed it at 2 different comic shops because one of them was a little unreliable. And I ended up with 2 issues of the first, 2 copies of the first issue. And I've read them both until the pages creased because I enjoyed it that fucking much. We got the first 3 issues and then we had to go on a hiatus because of the world ending and all that. And when I talked to John and Ryan, they were unsure. The book was kind of stuck in limbo for a little while. And so it's such a blessing that we got this book and we got the entirety of it, because there are some books that just go into limbo and never make it out. And I'm so glad we did, because everything about this, before I keep going, this is Mountainhead, written by John Lees. The art is by Ryan Lee. Letters is done by Sean Lee, the letters are done by Doug Garbark, and the colors are done by Sean Lee. Make sure I have that right. Color is by Doug Garbark. Yeah, it's the Lee, and they've told me that Doug is an honorary Lee. He is a Lee, so we've established that. But no, color is by Doug Garbark, and the letters are by Sean Lee. And this book is, oh god, it's horror in the best way. It starts off with our title characters, Abe, and I should know this off the top of my head, but Abe and his father Noah, and they are breaking into houses and stealing stuff, and you find out that him and his dad have been on the run since the people came and took his mom in the middle of the night, and all they got to do is keep running. They can never get involved in the traps of society, because all it is just stuff, and stuff will keep you down so that they can, wear you down and get you involved in all their bullshit. And he even goes so far as to let his son know that, hey, look, if they come for me, you'd shoot me, right? Because I would do the same for you. And he tests that theory. When shit gets real, we find out that Abe is not Noah's son. He was stolen by or by Noah back in the day. And it leads him back to his hometown, where shit has gotten fucking crazy. There is some weird shit going on up in the mountain, and they even explain that when a man spends too long up in the Rockies, he loses his mind. Reality can slip away, and Noah called it Mountainhead. And it seems like that's what's going on at this entire town of Briarac. Is that how you say it, Joe? You're Canadian. Is that how you speak it in your language, Briarac? No clue.
I have no idea.
Fine. That's
first
fine.
time I've heard of it in this book.
What, yesterday was Canadian Day, Joe. Show some fucking national pride, goddammit. Anyways, not the point.
We're not supposed to celebrate Canada Day because of the
thing they found at the school. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. So, well, let's not get into sad shit. Let's get into rad shit. There's a time and a place. Podcast, not the place.
Look at you getting on midnight oil, Goose. Come on, man.
Anyways, so Mountainhead, it goes way deeper than just a stolen kid. You get to this crazy town that has something going on. There's this weird loner out in the woods swinging his axe and sad that his wife is gone. There's some crazy shit going on with the locals, and it dives deeper and deeper into the abyss, that when you finally get to the abyss at the end of the story, you can't be shocked anymore. You've already seen the most gruesome and most brutal shit, and there's not one single page of this book that just shouldn't be displayed openly and then probably censored for people's sensibilities, because there's just so much blood and brutality, and the monsters, and the way that it's all done. It's just that there's not a better book out right now. And God, I've read this story. I keep on saying reread. God damn, what's wrong with me? I've read this
It's
story so
okay
many
if you've
times
read it
now.
more than once, then you've reread it, dude. Like you're not misspeaking
Right,
when you say
yeah.
the word.
But it feels weird saying in a sentence. I don't know. I speak weird. Not when there's another IDW gem that I champion for super hard, because the team worked their ass off on it and made it out of limbo hell in the middle of a pandemic, and it is from start to finish a rip roaring fucking gruesome ride that you should not miss. I sent it out
Amen
to
to
as
that.
many people as I could. I said, God, it's so good. John Lee doesn't miss, and the team that he assembled for this is just incredible. I've got, actually, I'll pull it down for y'all. This, because of the artist on this, Ryan Lee, I bought my first commission piece from him, and he even gave it a little Mountainhead flair. And so, yeah, definitely my favorite book out. I ended up buying all the variants and covers because I'm a nerd like that, and I wanted to support the book. It's fucking worth it.
And you
Yeah,
guys didn't get a good, and people at home, you didn't get a good look at that thing, but it is really rad. The picture that Ryan Lee drew for Goose, it basically like Yog Sothoth from like the Cthulhu myths, like a rendition of him, just with all this black and white detail. It's glorious. I'm actually going to rob Goose one day.
Yeah,
It's
Goose,
gonna happen.
you should repost that later after the show on Twitter so people can see it better.
Yeah, buddy.
Ooh,
But
I've got
I mean,
the digital files of it.
There you go. Post it later on Twitter, man, so people can check that out. Ryan Lee is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, he is. John Lee is a champ at finding the perfect artists to work with him on each book, because as a hardcore John Lee's fan, I gotta say, this is by far his best work to date. The thing I love the best about it is if you talk to him, he will love to try to tell you that he is not a horror writer. There is so much else to him that he wants to tackle and that he's good at. And if you read Mountainhead, you can see it, because there's a really cute relationship between the kids, and the bonds that Abe forms while he's in town. The goofy girl, especially, like that their friendship's a lot of fun. The weird, messed up familial situations, he does like some at-home drama stuff pretty well, and the way that he just kind of dealt with the mental health of Abe's fake dad, it's really sad. I mean, like, the book has emotional weight to it, while at the same time just being this John Carpenter-esque Cthulhu myth gore show. It is particularly just wonderful. And yeah, IDW should have sold these like hotcakes. This thing should have flown off the shelves. It should have sold like Lock and Key did. You know what I mean? In the story, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this book too. It definitely gave off, like Chad mentioned in the chats, like the Carpenter's thing. You know, the way these people get taken over, and when they reveal their true selves after they've been taken over, it definitely gives me that John Carpenter thing, like with the skinny legs just creepy crawling around and stuff. It definitely has that awesome vibe, and with a little mix of maybe a little bit of Stranger Things because of the kids and everything, and they're running around trying to save the town. It's up to these two little kids, you know. So it's got that Stranger Things vibe to it a little bit too, which makes it a little more fun, you know. Like You know,
Yeah.
two little
It,
kids running around trying to save like in a world of adults, and it's up to these two naive kind of, well, not naive, but not as, you know they're more quick to believe something like that than an adult, right? That there's monsters, or so they go into it and you know look into it and study it and try to find evidence of things where adults would just be like, nah, that's ridiculous, but children, because of their imaginations, and they just get into it and really like just go up to, what's the character's name that lives out in the woods?
oh yeah,
Uh,
the hermit guy.
Yeah, they go in, like, that's the first part where they really start to dig in, and start to investigate these weird happenings in town. They go up to his cabin when they're looking for the dog, and that's when the story really starts to kick into full gear. Uh, yeah, and
Oh,
he's a great character too. Like, I mean, he's just that loner who's
Nolan Devereaux.
widowed. Nolan, yeah, and he's a great character too. That guy's like your typical like hard guy that's really got a heart of gold. He's a softy on the inside, but he puts up that hard ass exterior, right?
but the
Well,
whimsical
yeah,
stuff
well,
really, really helps pay off because at the beginning of the book, you're not sure if there's actual monsters or if it's Noah's crazy still in Abe's head,
Mhm.
and he's got that homeless paranoia going on, because when you see the faces and like the kind of darkness things that Abe is tortured by when he goes to his new house, you're not sure if like Abe's crazy or if there's actually going to be monsters in this monster book. And I really
well,
like that
see,
they was set up like that at the beginning.
there's a really solid part that I enjoyed, and it really made me question whether those monsters were real or not at the beginning. And it's on this page here, and I don't know if you can see it, but he's looking out the window, and there's icicles. But in the second panel where it turns red, they turn into teeth, like they're about to close in on him, and he's like having this almost like a cabin fever type issue just from being caged in and being back in real society after being with Noah for so long, living this nomadic kind of rogue lifestyle. And it really, like you said, it really sets the tone to where are these monsters real at first, or are they not? But once you realize that, holy shit, they're real, and it's two kids, their mom, and this outcast trying to fight them. It is insane. And God, the ending of it.
Oh
That
When
one,
man,
they
no,
get on top.
yeah.
when they
Oh,
go to the one friend's house and the dad comes around the corner all John
yeah,
Carpenter,
yeah.
Daddy loves you, Evan, or whatever he's telling him, man.
There's some
Oh,
great
dude.
there's some great scenes, but where the art really picks, like where I really get a good feel for it is, I think, is it at the end of the second issue where Noah's the father, right? The adoptive or the kidnapped
Yeah,
father,
yeah,
when he
yeah. You
escapes
talking about?
from the hospital, and that one panel, the first one where the art really gets me is when he takes the stand for his drip and smashes that cop on the side of the head. Then I'm like, oh shit, now he's starting to go. He's flexing his muscle. Ryan Lee starts flexing his muscles starting from that panel on, and from that panel on, the art starts to get real sick, like real sick. Yeah, that is just insane. Insane, that panel. It's great. It's gruesome.
Oh, it's it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful. All of the brutality in it. Like and not and big shout out to Ryan Lee, but also a big shout out to Doug Garbark, the guy who did the colors in it. Because
Yeah.
the conversations that I've had with Ryan, like they were definitely like a synthetic compound working together. The way that Doug really accentuates those colors and those splashes, he makes Ryan's art pop on a level that is just unreal. I couldn't pick a better team for lines and colors, because that everything about it, those colors, the deep purples, the reds, the crimsons, like everything really melted together to give us, there's that. The thing I like a lot is how Ryan did his noses, and I don't know if we've talked about it
It's
before, but there's
square.
the uncanny. yeah, there's the uncanny valley, right, where things look almost human but not quite so much. And I think it added a level of like eeriness to it because they were very realistic looking, and then you've got these like square kind of boxy noses that give them that like cartoonish look. And I think that also added on the human element, not just the monsters being terrifying and the gore and the brutality of it, but just the people themselves had a twisted kind of eerie look to them, and I think it. God, it's so good.
Like
I can't compliment this book enough.
I'd have to go back and check, but when the son becomes like after the father takes over the family, the first character that comes back, was his nose drawn the same way in the earlier panels before he becomes the creature, the mountain creatures, or is that kind of like a little hint that
No, it's still pretty
always
square
right
right
start?
there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering if that was just
but
a little touch he threw in there to like give you a hint that certain people have become these creatures, right? They're
but I showed the page earlier where he I showed the page earlier where he finally becomes that, and that is still one of my absolute favorite pages, with the expanding like eyeballs like stretched down into the fucking next panels. The panel layout in this is, you don't have a normal panel layout on a lot of the pages. Like in this one specifically, you have like the chevron look where they're angled up and it's drawing your eyes up towards like the second set of panels with the eyes themselves. Like it just feels like the panels are pushing you towards what Doug and Ryan want you to look at. And I feel like that is being able to draw great and being able to make your colors pop is one thing, but being able to lay everything out, and that may go with the designer. I don't know how the panel layout goes with the artist or how it goes. And that may be something that John does, because I've seen his other books and everything about them is exquisite as well. But just the way that it's done, that where the action and the pacing, like I just went to a random page and you see like you have these quick cut kind of panels where there's a lot going on and there's a lot of detail, and it's helping. Like with Red Mother, where I mentioned it's one of those books where you kind of need to let the slow burn build. Mountainhead is one where it is a page turner, where it is building that same amount of tension and is cramming a whole lot more, I would say, into the pages than Red Mother. And you're getting like just super beautiful, gruesome, like just
the body
awesomeness in
horror
every
is
page.
amazing in this. Yeah.
You're gonna have to loan it to your mom.
I think I will. I'll get her own copy. She'll definitely enjoy it. But you mentioned Clive Barker earlier, and like I would say Clive Barker mixed with who's the guy who did like Videodrome and
David
the
Cronenberg.
body. Yeah, Cronenberg. Yeah, definitely big Cronenberg vibes from this book, especially like with the body horror. I love
amazing.
it. You don't get much better than this. I know it just seems like I'm gushing over this book, but it's the best book, bro.
You're not, dude. It's an utter treasure if you're a horror fan in any capacity, in my opinion. Like, I guess it doesn't have slasher stuff, but there's the iconography there. Like, if you look at the first issue, you see Noah with his crowbar and stuff with the ski mask down. Like, it has like certain looks to it should get any horror fan. But I gotta say, Ryan Lee's art, we've been throwing around a lot of compliments. I think he draws people in ski masks better than anybody else I've ever seen. Like, I like his characters in the beginning with their ski masks on. Like, they actually look like real people with masks on.
So the issue number 1 cover is Abraham standing with a ski mask on, holding his crowbar. Well, there's a convention exclusive that Ryan sent me when I got the art from him, and it has Noah standing in the, like, it would almost be back to back with Abe holding a baseball bat. And I've definitely been wanting to get like that tattooed on me, them back to back, just one holding the baseball bat, the other holding the crowbar. Because like you said, those ski mask shots, they remind me of the ski mask scenes from the Boondock Saints, where they're just done so well. But when they start talking Rocco for cutting the hole in the mask, You're gonna be OBKB. But no, definitely everything about the book was just spot on and perfect. It's one of my favorite books of the past 5 years, hands down. If not my favorite book of the past 5 years, it's that phenomenal.
And like you said, later on, when they go to like climb the mountain or whatever, and they did a good job. They threw a few things in earlier that keeps you guessing right to the end. Like there's a scene where Abraham goes out with his mother on the boat, and there's that one panel where she kind of gets that look in her face when she looks at him, and it mirrors the looks of all the people that get possessed. So at the end, right to the end, I'm wondering, is she one of them or not? Because of that one fucking panel when they're in the boat, I'm like, is that going to be a big reveal? And like, it keeps you guessing like the whole time, like who is and who isn't. And they did like just little panels here and there of like weird looks on people's faces that keep you guessing, like, is this person it or not? And I think they did an amazing job with that. Like it kept me guessing right to the end. I was just waiting for that other shoe to drop, like, oh fuck, like, and they did a really good job with that. I have to hand it to them.
Yeah, Lee's is good at that. I think he was doing a wink and a nod to one of his earlier books, and then Emily Was Gone, which also involved a boat scene with something horrible happening afterwards with a character you didn't expect it from. So, yeah, he's a master at that. That's why I love the little Scottish bastard so much, and I wish that they would make him work more. Even if he doesn't want to do it, put him to work. All right, we need. He needs to put out as many books as Colin Budd. That's my quota.
And at the end with that shotgun scene, holy shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I went back and forth and I'm like, oh man, that was probably the most shocking panel of the whole thing, aside from like maybe where he escapes from the hospital and he smashes the guy's face and stuff. That panel was like, it catches you by surprise, man.
Goose, you're just gonna be quiet. Oh wow. Okay.
No, I'm not. I had my mic on and I was trying to show something to Dakota because we're apparently it's fuck with Goose Day on Twitter because Greg put on a wig and a hat and was like, hey, I'm giving off Goose vibes, and somebody was like, now you have to have a drink in your hand while grilling some meat, and somebody said, and sit on a toilet backwards, and then somebody said, and mention how cool Texas is, and I was like, oh, are these the things I'm known for? Fuck. Oh,
well,
but no,
definitely the sitting on the toilet backwards. I know that. That's definitely
it's called the AC Slater. I've got an AC Slater pop figure right here. I can point you at it. Like, I'm definitely AC Slatering it when you can eat cereal like that. It gives you a table.
That's the buff guy from Saved by the Bell, right? Man, you're getting scarier than Mountainhead now. Let's go back to real horror, not this terrifying teeny bopper shit you're bringing up, man. That's scarier than even the
whatever,
monster.
Mr. Belding.
Who is that? Oh, is that the principal guy?
He's the principal, yeah. He was the one who would be like, Zach, get off your cell phone. And Zach would be like, I'm a piece of shit. I don't have to do what you tell me to do, because Zach Morris is trash.
Zach Morris is trash. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Mountainhead. Definitely. Look, I don't care who wants to say any different. If you have a differing opinion, you can go fuck yourself. It's the best book, not even the best horror book, but the best book of the past 5 years, and I'll fight anybody who says any different.
What about Ram V? Man, now you got me looking like a Ram V hater. I love Ram V, man. I'm just making. I was homaging a friend of ours.
What did he do on Mountainhead?
He did
that's right. He didn't. So he didn't write. So he didn't write the best. Write and do the art and colors and lettering on the best book of the past 5 years. So look, hey, the one. No, he didn't. He didn't. He's done some good books. Blue and Green, kick ass. Not Mountainhead. Hey, you know what else is not Mountainhead? These Savage Shores. Great book. Not Mountainhead. I can give you a list of things that are not Mountainhead if you'd like to talk about Ron V. Great books, but they're not Mountainhead.
We don't talk about Fight Club, mostly because like it's over talked about. Like everybody talks about that, so we don't talk about it.
Well, hey, the first rule of Pink Buzz is you don't talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Pink Buzz is you don't talk about Fight Club.
I
And the third
don't
rule
let
of Pink Buzz:
Red tell me what to do.
if Mountainhead isn't your favorite comic, then fuck you. And that's the third
Okay.
rule of Pink Buzz.
No, that's rule 1 and 2.
I thought those were don't talk about Fight Club.
No. We just don't talk about Fight Club because everybody's already talked about it. It's the same reason why we don't talk about The Watchmen on this show. Because what would we have to say that hasn't been said a billion times? You know what I mean? So, not that we dislike it or anything. It's just, but
we do dislike Doomsday Clock. Shut up.
Well, at least he told himself. I wasn't gonna go there. I love Goose's inclinations right now, but yeah, back to Mountainhead. Dude, John Lees is going to be huge, or otherwise he should be, man. Like, he is like Steve Niles mixed with Stan Lee. I can just see the potential brimming with what he's able to pull off just in a single volume of Sync. And just seeing him put out books like And Then Emily's Gone and this Mountainhead, kind of in between those books or before those, like, man, like, I understand that, like, he doesn't want to be just a horror writer, but I don't know of anybody that's doing it better than him. And like, we live in a time of great horror. We have like Maniac in New York and all these other books that we've covered on this show that are great. And like, in my opinion, like, John kind of outdoes them all.
Well, we could do a horror episode, or we could do a John Lee centric episode, and we could and I'm not talking about stuff for the future. I'm talking in hypotheticals. But if we were to do one like that, I mean, like, there's such a long list of books that we've got Sync, we've got Mountainhead, fucking Hotel. Hotel is a dude. Hotel gave me nightmares, and that very well could be from the art as well. But the story along with it was just ridiculous. And you keep on mentioning one that I'm guessing I haven't read. And what was that one called? It's kind of got a longer title. Something about Emily.
And Then Emily Was Gone. And then he also did a superhero comic called The Standard. Those are both Comics Tribe books that he did. I also have a one shot that he did with the artist of Then Emily Is Gone that's called Quite. That's actually really fucked up too. Really good stuff. Really. Yeah, I'm kind of a fiend, and like, I emailed him before like he got really popular, so he gave me a bunch of free stuff when I first met him. Cool, which is pretty cool.
Well, I got to meet him because, like I said, Mountainhead is not just Mountainhead. Everything that I've read from John Lees has been fan-fucking-tastic. And I'd like to meet him and just talk to him, because I've tweeted out several times on several different occasions, like, hey, is John Lees okay? And he messages me back, yeah, I'm doing great, man. I just grew up weird. And I'm like, all right, cool, cool, awesome. And so...
Well, see, I never worry about him because he doesn't write from a place of anger. Like, you know, what's his name? The Dead End Kids guy, Frank Gogol. Gogol writes from a place of actual pain and misery, where he is one that I'd worry about. Whereas John Lees just plays with the weird toys that he has in his head. So, like, I wouldn't really ever worry about like John Lees as I would Gogol. When Gogol's like writing one of his really hard-hitting books.
The reason Lees worries me is because like everything I read from him is just pure nightmare fuel, and like I just don't see like. And he seems so sensible and so reasonable. Like I subscribe to his Patreon, I read his newsletter and everything. And he just seems like this well-rounded, nice guy who likes wrestling and comics. And then like you read his comics and you go, what kind of wrestling has this motherfucker been watching?
The kind of like they tell you about that they have on the deep web, I guess, like the serial killer style, the kind that Ed Pixor writes about, I guess.
I'm sorry, John Lees, but snuff films aren't wrestling.
Hey, you don't know what, dude? They have different terms for stuff in Scotland, all right? Especially if you grew up in the Sink Hill area. But the image, just took the original Iron Maiden album cover and messed with the coloring and, you know, did a Pink Buzz graphic vandalization of it. That's all I did. But Hotel, dude, that's another one. Like, they need to come back with that. AWA's been doing second runs of some of their series. Hotel's one we need a damn second book of on the right now. Right now,
That's
chop
another
chop.
thing, dude. AWA has still not released a bad fucking book. I've read almost everything except for that Ethan Sykes Pandemic Chronicles, which I'm still looking for. But I've read everything from them so far, and I still am. And dude, Hotel was fantastic. But what J. Michael Straczynski is doing with the Resistance and all the little stories and that little universe that they're building is almost rivaling. I would put it in the same category that I would with Valiant's like Divinity and Rye. And when they started bringing out their stuff, I would put the Resistance universe in that same kind of category. It is that good.
Right on. I like J. Michael, man. I've liked him since the Babylon 5 days. The Falling Stars book he did for Image was great too. Really cool, like superhero thing. So he's got a past at doing good stuff like that. I just so far all I've read of theirs is Hotel and American Ronin, which were both fan fucking tabulous. So I can't complain with
Yeah,
anything I've read from them. Oh, and Archangel
I've
8
got.
by Michael Morisi. Like that was good too. I always forget
I
about
haven't
that
Okay,
one.
I
I haven't
lied.
read
I
that
lied.
one
I
yet.
haven't read Archangel 8. I haven't read that, but
Neither have I.
AWA. Speaking of their horror stuff with Hotel, Year Zero, because I've got them. They're first up on the second shelf because of their publisher name. But Year Zero is the best zombie comic book that I think I've ever read. And like everybody rants and raves about The Walking Dead, this is way more
Well,
interesting
not
and way
me.
better.
I've
Okay,
never
not you,
read
Johnny,
that comic.
because you're. Tell me about how much you hate
I'm,
Forrest Gump. Anyways, not the point.
I like Forrest Gump.
Uh,
I wish
oh, then you're
Forrest
not a
Gump would
real
have kicked.
hipster.
He would have kicked Walking Dead's ass, dude. If Forrest Gump would have been in charge instead of Rick, like they'd have had shit cleaned up. He'd have just had
Do you
his
know?
lawnmower going, just like, "Hi, mama, watch me run over these zombies." It'd be great.
Do you know what's crazy? They were gonna have a Forrest Gump 2, and the only reason they didn't is because as they were getting ready to film it, 9/11 happened, and then the people who were making it just went, "No, we don't want to touch on history no more. Everything's depressing now," and they just quit. Like that's how Forrest Gump 2 didn't get made. But
Forrest Gump
AWA with
didn't
their
need a
horse,
part two. It didn't, unless they were
it
gonna
was
make it a
getting it.
horror
It was getting
movie.
it.
That'd
It
have
was
been
getting
good
it.
if they'd
But
have.
Year Zero didn't need a part 2, and it was just as kick-ass as the first. Everything AWA is doing is phenomenal. I haven't read anything by them that sucks so far, and I've read almost everything except for Archangel 8, but I'm gonna remedy that soon as well.
It's good, man. If you like that kind of debonair, like swashbuckle murder hero kind of guy, it's kind of comic. It's reminiscent of a certain guy's James Bond book that I really liked. It kind of reminded me of that, but with a bit more gore, maybe a little more innocy than the
Then I
other
would,
guy.
I think I would definitely like it then. Like I
As
said, they
far as
haven't put
Michael
out anything bad
Moretti
yet.
goes, it's probably my favorite thing he's done besides Roche Limit, which is saying something because Morrissey is pretty decent. I mean,
Well, me and him, I like him a lot, and I haven't read much of his work, but I like him a lot because me and him, I was in a heated mood, and I responded to something that he said, and I responded pretty negatively, and he responded back, and instead of like antagonizing it, he took the time to find out why I was mad at what he said, and then like talked with me a little bit longer and made a fan of me out of that because he could have just been like, oh, this guy's a stupid piece of shit troll. But instead, he was like, okay, well, obviously something's wrong, and he's not getting my message right, and he thinks anyway. He took the time to find out why I disagree with what he said, and then talked with me afterwards, and I appreciate that. And so, anything by him, I'm definitely down to check out.
he gave you the whole high school counselor thing. He touched you on the shoulder and was
No,
like, "It's
not
gonna be
even.
okay,
No, not
Colton.
even like that. It was.
We're
It
gonna
was. It
help you
was. It was
through this."
definitely. It was something political that he had said that I took as dismissive when it wasn't, and we got into it over that, and it was heated for about 2 exchanges before he was just like, "Okay, stop. What did you not understand about this?" And he didn't say it like in a condescending way, but more of a "let me help you understand that I wasn't being a dickhead."
Yes.
And so just
CJ, yes, they are. And I hope Tom Coker is feeling better soon so he can come back and draw that. I was gutted when I heard of his illness. And as sad as I was that we were not getting more of that book sooner, like health is more important. So like I just hope Tom's in a good place before he does come back to Black Monday. But god damn, is that book good. Like everything Jonathan Hickman does is good. I mean, let's say everything Jonathan Hickman does for Image is good. All right, let me qualify that a little bit, but yeah. You what do you got to say about Hickman, Joey?
East of West was amazing. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna have to argue with Goose on best comic the last 5 years, because East of West was the best comic book of the past 10 years, which beats your 5 years by 5 years. So, like, yeah, as much as I love Mountainhead, it don't got shit on East of West, man.
East of West was the best comic of the previous last 5 years. Hey, you were an Alter Server sequential geek. It's BPC now. Alter Server. We all were.
Alter Server. What did you guys?
Well, they made us start saying that.
Church? You guys going to church in Tron or something like that? Did you fight for the users, or were you against the program?
No, but like they started allowing girls. They started allowing girls to be Alter Servers and not just boys, because the priests were starting to get a little tired of the same thing, and so
you guys are getting too political, man. Sorry. We're talking. This is a comic book show, you guys. Like, I don't want to know about altars and PCs and churches and stuff like that. We're talking about guts and gore and splatterhouse shit, man. Come on.
So let me tell you about my Action Bible. The art is done by Ryan Lee.
I wouldn't be surprised if you did own one of those. I saw it at Walmart once, and I just laughed so hard. I was
my god! Dakota just reminded me we do own one of those.
You do own an Action Bible. Why am I not surprised?
Somebody gave Dakota one for Christmas one year to bring her to Jesus because
gave it to her. That's how the story's going, is it?
She is a godless heathen, is what she just said, which is why we get along so well. Because I don't know if y'all saw the New Mutants, but I learned something very important from Rain in that, and that is demons can't come in church, which means I'm not a demon, fellas.
Well, like the Highlander can't fight in church either, so there's lots of stuff you can't do in church if you're like not a regular person, I guess.
But demons can't come in there. They come everywhere else.
I got that. I got the joke, Goose. Don't worry. Oh my god. Shit. So are we going to eventually circle back to Mountainhead?
Yeah, go ahead and steer us back to the good road there.
Before Goose starts talking about crazy shit. Oh, man.
Oh, don't do it. Sit back down. I'm always worried when you stand up. Sit back down.
Yeah. I think he's going to get his Bible.
Yeah, you got to read us from the action scriptures or the action psalms. I don't know, the action ecclesiastics. But dude, yeah, Ryan Lee's. I can't say enough nice things. And the sad thing is, I haven't seen him work much since Mountainhead, which is a goddamn shame. I mean, I can't.
He did a one shot for Rick and Morty.
Oh
which
wow,
was pretty damn good. He
drew a comic that nobody was. No, you don't need really artistic skill to draw Rick and Morty, though. Like,
you go pick it up, man. But he put his own. No. He didn't just copy his style. He did. He did it in his style.
It's so good. Awesome. It's so good, Johnny.
It is good.
It's not. Yeah.
Don't dismiss it,
his
Johnny.
Style. And look, I've talked to Ryan. Mountainhead was his first big published work. And so I'd like to see him on a whole lot more stuff, but I understand, especially even we kind of mentioned it, Mountainhead came out pre-pandemic, and it finished during mid-pandemic, and so it's one of those ones that kind of got overlooked, which is sad because I think if it was one of those ones that got pushed up to the front, like you said, like Lock and Key did, or if it got half as much attention as Ice Cream Man did.
You and me both, Mrs. Goose's mom, ma'am. Like, I am always worried when he stands up too. He is the wild card on the show. That is his title.
Wild card, bitches. But no, that's the thing. I understand. I get that. I'd like to see him in more stuff because it's one of my favorites. But I also know that like he is still kind of in that up and coming class. So I feel like if Mountainhead would have gotten half the attention that like say Ice Cream Man did, which I think it deserves more than half the attention that Ice Cream Man did, and that's not a dismiss on Ice Cream Man. It's a great series, but Mountainhead is so fucking kick ass. And so I feel like it kind of got overlooked, and that's so sad because I'd like, there's so many things I would love to see Ryan on. Like, could you imagine him doing some of that alien shit that Marvel's doing right now? Because God,
no,
like I've already seen.
I would definitely don't want him doing that.
Not with Marvel, but I mean in that alien style, because I could see him doing like chest bursters.
Oh man, I'd pick it up.
He would. Yeah, no,
I'd
for
definitely
sure.
pick it up. I don't give a shit if it's Marvel doing it. If Ryan Lee's drawing aliens, man, any alien book, I'll pick it up. I don't give a shit.
I picked up the Rick and Morty. I'm right there with you, dude. Anything that has Ryan Lee's name on it, I'll pick up. Which is why I've never picked up a Rick and Morty comic, and I picked it up because it had his name on it, and I actually found the I think C cover that he did as well. So in Austin, I'm gonna try and pick that up when I get back down there. But no, the art that he did for it was great because there was a lot of body horror in that as well. Considering it was in that like future timeline. I can't remember what the name of the world is, but it's got that future timeline with all the fucked up radioactive people, and so babies with arms growing out the side of their head. Yeah.
It's the Mad Max world.
Yeah, Mad Max, Rick and Morty with Ryan Lee flair on the art. Yeah. Johnny, you can't. It's a one shot. You can't fuck it up.
No, you have to go find that. Or
would I be able to understand it? I've never watched Rick and Morty. Like I have a cursory understanding of the characters. Okay,
you'll be able to understand. They make a quick reference to, like, if you haven't seen it, you'll understand right away. They make a quick reference to the episode that puts everything in context, and the story gets going, and it's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's worth going to.
And it's got Ryan Lee's name on it. Pick it up.
I'd like to see him work on some Black Hammer shit, man. Like, I would like to see him do some crazy Dark Horse stuff. To tell you the truth, his art style's so weird and creepy. I can't really picture him like working in. For like doing superhero comics, unless maybe he does like Billy Batson, Shazam comics. He would be probably really good at that because I think he had fun doing the kids stuff, and he could probably do a pretty gruesome or badass Shazam book.
Commandy, bro. He could kill some Commandy shit. The little blonde kid in the prehistoric times from DC.
Don't know him.
I'll send you a picture and you might catch up on it. However, we mentioned Jonathan Hickman earlier. I put Ryan Lee's art, and this is I say that I'll bring it all around in a second. I put Ryan Lee's art in the same category that I put like Nick Pitara's art, and that's why I mentioned Jonathan Hickman because he did the Manhattan Project with the Kingstone Bible. Hell yeah. He did the Manhattan Project with Jonathan Hickman, and he's got kind of that same style of art, in my opinion. And Nick Pitara did a series. It didn't get to finish because I believe his son got sick, and I hope things worked out with that. But he was doing a series with with John Layman called Leviathan that ran 3 issues out of 5 from Image. The monsters in that are comparable to the monsters in Mountainhead, and I was really, really sad that Leviathan didn't get to finish.
Nice. Was that going to be another comedy book from Layman, or was it more serious? Because I like his stuff so far. I love Outer Space.
So it was. Oh God, Outer Darkness is so good. I
Outer
loved
Darkness
it.
and what was the other one? Chew. Yeah,
Chew. Chew.
shit's hilarious.
Joe sent me the first 5 volumes of Chew, and I
Oh,
love it a whole lot. But
that's a hell of an act of
Levi,
kindness, dude. That's awesome, Joe. That's a lot of good reading for you.
Joe's like the
I give
sweetest
away
man
all
in the
my-
world.
I give away all my trade paperbacks after I've read them.
Do you know?
I
Do you
don't-
know what the hardest thing
I don't
about?
keep trades.
Do you know what the hardest?
What's that?
Do you know what the hardest thing about Joe's life has been? His entire life was on his wedding day was finding a kilt long enough to cover his massive cock and balls, because somebody's so sweet. Like that's he talked to me about it. He said it was a tough time. Like they almost didn't wear the kilt, but he did, and he still sends out comics. He does the traveling comic thing. He does dick art.
I made $100 off that actually.
Nice.
Yeah, because
People paid $5 to look up the kilt.
And all they had to do was raise it a millimeter, because that's what you folks use, right? Is millimeters, centimeters,
millimeters,
What's-
yeah, meters.
What's the metric system? It's fake. It's fake.
Kilometers. They use it everywhere else in the world except for here.
Yeah,
dude.
except
It's
for
not fake.
exactly.
They use it in Mexico. All right. It's like, even they have it. We're the only ones that don't do it, dog.
I did learn the metric system from some of my friends south of the border. So
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, I was joking around about I can't give Goose too hard of a time for owning a action Bible, because I literally bought off of eBay. I literally bought off of eBay this old comic that Mike Allred did before he was famous. It was a Book of Mormon thing. It was the Adventures of Joseph Smith comic that I literally owned just because I love Mike Allred and his art so much. So yeah, and he's a huge Mormon, so he did like a Mormon comic, of course, back in the day. Good stuff.
it's awesome.
I never opened it and read it. I just bought it. You know what I mean? It was like $15, and I was just like, yes, that is getting goddess. You own any weird religious comics, Joe?
Fuck no.
I do. I do, guys.
I know
guys,
the only ones I read are like Little Bird, but it's not very flattering towards the church or anything. So yeah, most of the stuff I read kind of puts the church down more than anything.
I've got to find them, and I'll send y'all like copies of them. But me and Dakota have been finding these tiny, like new strip style religious comics.
Oh, you're talking about
all...
Chick Tracks. Chick Tracks, yeah, those things are evil, man. There's one about like how this dude.
Wait, go ahead, keep going.
Well, don't tell me to wait and then tell me, like, man, you're a confusing guy. But like, yeah, no, he like did one about D&D. Like, yeah, no, those are notorious, man. They're hilarious. Like, yeah, the little Chick Track comic.
Okay, that is it. My favorite one is the one where this girl like finds out that her father, who's a piece of shit and is dead, like is definitely in hell, and they're like, she's like, well, my father didn't go to church, and they go, well, your father's damned to hell, kids. And I'm just like, what the fuck? God gave your father heart disease because he was a godless heathen. And I'm just like, what does this have to do with Thanksgiving? I love it. I've got like 20 of them.
Yes, I do.
Know
he's actually one of my favorites. Yeah, ever since he did The Hood with Brian K. Vaughan. But even before that, he did some Evil Ernie books. He did Destroyer, which is like my favorite Evil Ernie book because his art, it's just so gory. It's so gruesome, man. Like, yeah, he's right on that Ryan Lee level. Actually, if I was going to compare Ryan Lee to anybody, yeah, I'd say he's closest to Kyle Hotz.
Yeah, Kyle Hotz is solid, man. He doesn't do very many interiors anymore, though. He's just doing covers nowadays, or what's up with that?
It pays good, man. Some of them guys make a lot of money because they do multiple covers a week, and we just got a little bit of Goose getting whatever. But yeah, like David Mack and those guys, like, yeah, they seem to just put out these covers, and I think that they get like $3,000 or something from Dark Horse for each book. You know, I would think. I don't know how much commission they get, but it's definitely enough for them not to have to worry about drawing interiors.
I didn't mean for y'all to hear that, but you mentioned Chick Tracks, and I got to look it up, and that is the comics. Me and Dakota have been collecting these things like Pokemon cards for a few years, and she was just telling me that she got a fuck ton of them given to her when she was working as a waitress, and she said, I guess I just appeared like a godless heathen, and that's why I was laughing so hard because I love my godless heathen wife.
Chick tracks are notorious, man. Yeah, they're good fun. I think Shaky Kane actually did a bunch of spoofs of them at one point. If it wasn't him, it was another one of those guys like him that
Yeah.
draws in that kind of style. I forget who it was.
But I think Kyle Holtz, I'm going to try to find it. I think he did a 3-issue series on Swamp Thing that was pretty kick-ass. I've seen some of the art from that, and that was
Yeah.
sick. That looked awesome.
He did this comic for Marvel's Max series. I think it was just called Zombie. That was just really good. Really kind of just like a short little brutal. I think it was a 3-shot. Yeah. And yeah, just pretty cool. Reminded me of like, did you ever read 68 by Image, like the Vietnam zombie comic?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Read that.
this was similar to that with the tone
Yeah.
and the gore.
Super kick-ass.
But all right then, we almost made it to a full 2 hours this time, guys. Hell yeah! We only had to laugh at Goose a couple of times, so that's good. It's good to have him back, though, man. And it's like good episode.
Yeah, and yeah, it's good to be back because I missed y'all, and then now I'm back, and it's great.
Okay, be quiet.
And my mom and dad get to watch me. Okay, God, I was being sentimental. Fuck you.
But no, yeah. Come on! I was just giving you the rusty starfish. Come on back. Come on, you filthy Sanchez.
I'm back.
All right, but
Was that
you
it?
want
Are
to
you
tell
done?
people
It's a dirty Sanchez.
you want to find people where to find you on Twitter at Dirty Sanchez there?
It's I believe it's at 40ounce _ Goose. I always got to double check because I have the memory of a goldfish. It is at 40ounce _ Goose. The handle is Skirt Cobain with an exclamation mark, and you can do with that what you will.
Are you drinking Hennessy there? You got your bottle of Hen Dog?
No, I'm not drinking Hen Dog. I'm drinking a nice Texas brewed beer. This is the Shiner Hill Country Peach Wheat Ale. Pretty fucking solid. I'm a big fan.
Okay.
No,
you're going to see Mumford & Sons tonight.
PDR.
What's up?
I've seen Mumford & Sons. Fuck you.
Why are my nuts surprised? Joey.
Well, you can find me at 00 Joe Pocket at Twitter, and I just want to remind Goose to not forget to repost that Ryan Lee commission he got, so people can see that late after we log off here. Yeah.
And I'm Bucky Wise. You can find me on Twitter at JohnnyAlpha81. My name on there is Bucky Wise. I think I'm gonna just change my name to that. I like it a lot, but we'll see. This is still graphic vandalism, so don't stop reading, don't stop listening to awesome music, and don't stop watching killer horror flicks. Until next time, keep it cracking.
Have a great week of reading, guys.